Welcome back to Skytech-Lens. Across the prairies of Western Canada, autumn harvest is a race against time, and nothing is more vital than the combine harvester. For decades, Canadian farmers relied on US-built machinery, thanks to seamless cross-border trade. But new American tariffs, part of the Trump administration's America First policy, have made US equipment far more expensive for Canadians. Suddenly, a combine from Nebraska arrives in Saskatchewan with a price tag inflated by protectionist policies, squeezing already tight farm margins. For farmers, a 25% price hike on a new combine can mean the difference between profit and loss. Now, they're forced to look beyond the US for affordable alternatives, rethinking long-standing purchasing habits. The combine harvester, once a symbol of productivity, now represents a much larger economic conflict. Canadian farmers' decisions are dictated by trade disputes, not just by quality or need. CLAAS, a global leader in agricultural machinery, once built its Lexion combines for North America in Omaha, Nebraska. This cross-border supply chain thrived on stable trade rules, until aggressive US tariffs made exporting to Canada prohibitively expensive. CLAAS responded by moving production for Canadian customers to Germany, leveraging the Canada-EU trade deal, CETA, which eliminates tariffs. Even with higher shipping costs, German-built combines now arrive in Canada cheaper than their US-made counterparts. Ironically, tariffs meant to protect American jobs pushed production and jobs overseas. The Omaha plant lost a major export market, while German workers gained. CLAAS's move is a warning. In a global economy, capital and jobs flow to where trade is stable and predictable. Protectionism backfired, costing American workers. The lesson: trade policy can have unintended, far-reaching consequences. The CLAAS story highlights a clash between two trade philosophies. CETA, the Canada-EU agreement, removes nearly all tariffs, fostering stability and opportunity for both sides. In contrast, America First uses unpredictable tariffs to pressure partners, creating uncertainty for businesses. CETA's predictability lets companies like CLAAS confidently invest and trade, while US volatility discourages long-term planning. For Canadian farmers, the result is clear: German combines are more affordable while US machines are priced out by their own government's policies. America First fails to recognize that other countries are building trade bridges, not walls. As the US isolates itself, Canada and the EU create new pathways for commerce. The world is moving on, leaving protectionist policies behind. In trade, cooperation wins over confrontation. CLAAS's shift from Omaha to Germany is more than a corporate move. It's a blow to American workers. The Nebraska plant lost a major export market, leading to reduced production and potential layoffs. Local suppliers, logistics firms, and restaurants all feel the ripple effects as orders and contracts shrink. The Trump tariffs, meant to bring jobs home, instead exported them to Germany. Companies now see the US as a risky place to invest, fearing sudden policy changes. This loss of confidence could hurt American communities for years. The lesson: protectionism can backfire, costing jobs and investment. Stability, not tariffs, attracts business. Canada isn't waiting for the US to change course. Under Prime Minister Mark Carney, Canada is aggressively diversifying trade, signing new deals with Indonesia, Mexico, and the EU. These agreements open vast new markets and reduce reliance on the US. Canada is also courting global investors, pitching itself as a stable, predictable alternative to American volatility. Domestically, tax cuts and streamlined regulations make Canada even more attractive for business. The message is clear: Canada is building bridges, not walls. In a turbulent world, Canada is forging its own path to prosperity. Trade tensions aren't just numbers, they're changing daily life along the border. Canadian travel to US border towns has plummeted, hurting American businesses that once relied on cross-border shoppers. In 2025, Canadian visits to the US dropped by over 30%, reversing decades of steady cross-border commerce. The economic impact is real: fewer shoppers mean lost revenue and jobs in US border communities. Even airlines like Air Canada report falling US-bound revenues. The once friendly border now feels colder, as trade disputes create psychological barriers. The simple act of crossing for a shopping trip is no longer routine. The social fabric that bound the two nations is fraying. Trade wars erode not just economies but relationships. The US and Canada now embody two very different approaches to global leadership. President Trump's administration is defined by unpredictability and public theatrics, leaving allies and businesses guessing. Policy swings and tariff threats make the US an unreliable partner. In contrast, Canada's Mark Carney champions quiet diplomacy and stability, building alliances and attracting investment. While the US alienates partners, Canada works with G7 allies on energy, trade, and climate. Investors and businesses are choosing Canada's predictability over America's volatility. The world is learning stability is more valuable than rhetoric. In the global economy, trust and consistency win. Canada is also rethinking how it manages its natural resources. For years, raw materials flowed south to the US for processing, sending jobs and profits across the border. Now, Ottawa is investing in domestic facilities, like LNG plants and mineral refineries, to keep more value at home. The goal: export finished products, not just raw resources, and bypass US middlemen. Local resistance to long-term energy export deals, like the Powell River Dam case, reflects a new mood. Prioritize Canadian needs first. Ironically, US tariffs on steel and copper are making American infrastructure projects more expensive and increasing reliance on Canadian power. Canada's push for resource sovereignty is both economic strategy and national pride. The country aims to be a producer, not just a supplier. It's another way Canada is insulating itself from US policy shocks. The CLAAS story is a cautionary tale about the unintended consequences of protectionism. Tariffs meant to protect American jobs ended up exporting them, hurting workers and communities. Meanwhile, Canada has turned outward, forging new alliances and building a reputation for stability. The impacts are felt everywhere, from farmers forced to buy German machines, to US border towns losing Canadian customers. Trade wars erode trust and goodwill, damaging both economies and relationships. The lesson is clear. Stable, fair trade is essential for shared prosperity. Protectionism may win headlines, but it risks dismantling the systems that support workers and businesses. In the end, nations that build bridges, not walls, will thrive together. Thanks for watching. Subscribe the channel for more updates.